Hi, I'm Ray Brown and I'm co-founder at Archibiz. And today we're going to be speaking about the 5 pillars of value in architecture. And we're very lucky to have with us Kate Fitzgerald, all the way from Western Australia today. And she's going to work with me through how she uses some of these pillars in her practice. So Kate, tell us a little bit about your practice and where you're at.
Whispering Smith is a feminist architecture practice over in WA in Perth. We have a team of 4, and we are the sort of head tenants of a warehouse space in South Freo.
Tell us a little bit about, I think you were a founder of BOSP, so tell us what is BOSP and certainly what do the initials stand for?
The initials stand for the Business of Small Practice, and it was co-founded by a friend of mine, Michael Gay, and myself when we joined the ACA committee in WA. And we predominantly started the BOSP or founded it as a way of bringing small practices together to talk about business and about how we can run and grow successful practices that are more equitable, different models of business, and develop our skills and bring everyone together as a community. So we've had a really amazing couple of years. Every single event we've had over in WA has been a sellout. We are really building a community around business here, and it recently went national. So we've had an event in Adelaide last year, and we're looking forward to, now that we've got the Archibiz platform, we're looking forward to expanding into other states.
So thanks for agreeing to speak about these 5 pillars today and how that came about. I find with lots of my architectural clients, they are very passionate about architecture and they're very focused on the outcome, the building that they're building and designing, and the building that the client wants. But I think if we restrict ourselves just to that outcome, there's probably more to it than that, and more tools that we can put in the toolbox. And I know that Kate uses a few of these. So if we start off with the first one, which is how many hours are you actually going to spend on this job? And in my perception, the clients have very little idea of how much work actually goes into the architectural job of designing a building. So, I mean, how do you bring hours into your conversation, Kate? And maybe a little bit about the time cost calculator.
One of the interesting things about being a small and also young or emerging or startup practice is that you don't have the data behind you to be able to provide a convincing argument on how long it takes you to do certain types of projects. And so one of the things that has been really valuable for us as a practice has been the ACA's time cost calculator. So we can, especially if we think the project is unique, and sometimes we use this just as a way of explaining to our clients in a way that's independent to our own costings, how many hours we're going to be, it will take other architects all over the country to do a project of that size and scale, and where our hours might sit within that range.
Yeah, and do you actually mention ACA in the time cost calculator, or do you present it as a report? How do you use it?
I do mention the tool. We really like to sort of take a screen grab of certain components of the report that you get from the ACA that says how many hours in each phase. So in concept design, there might be a range of hours, and we can explain, well, we're more because we do more work at concept phase and you progress the design a lot further, and there's less hours in another section, or however that might work for that particular project.
Great. And how long have you been using this, and what did you do before you had the time cost calculator?
One of the reasons I started using it was that about 3 or 4 years ago, I was in a negotiation over a fee for quite a big residential project. And my client, she was in the room at the time, really excited about the project. And she actually left the room during the contract negotiation, and her husband came in, who had we had no relationship with, and he was actually one of Perth's savviest accountants. And so we ended up being completely unable to defend our fee in that moment. He was a much more experienced negotiator, needed to be more professional and to have more data to back up the decisions that we were making about people's fees. We know how much time it takes from a basic understanding of architecture, but our clients don't, and that takes the, I guess, de-risks the the process for them, and can sometimes even prevent them tendering to another architect to check your fees.
Yeah. So the second pillar of value, and the second, what I would call another differentiator, is your systems and processes, and how you explain those to the client in a way that differentiates you from other architects. And really all of these 5 pillars, they're just tools that we should be using to make us look a little bit different. And what's really important is that certain pillars will appeal to some clients and other pillars will appeal to others, and there'll be a different mix. So it's really important that you get to know your client, and that if someone's interested in your systems and processes, then you really need to be able to explain these in a way that makes you look good and makes you look better than all the other architects that may be tendering. So Kate, how do you describe your systems and processes, and do you find some clients are even a little bit interested in how you do what you do?
Our systems and processes largely differ from other practices in that we have done a development over here in Perth, and that means that we understand uniquely the challenges of subdivisions, of the planning system, of the relationship between WAPC and DPLH, and also the complexities that come with that. And as a result, a lot of clients, we are able to guide those clients through that process in a way that perhaps other architects might not be able to. And I think that built experience, and also the fact that we've paid for our own architecture, is something that we do use a lot to describe our systems and processes.
Yeah, so you've probably overlapped a little bit into the next one, which is fine, but systems and processes, and the next pillar for me is knowledge and experience. And experience do you have that's kind of specific to the work that the client's looking to have done? So maybe if we go back to that a little bit, Kate, and do you have any systems and processes, things that you would do differently because of your knowledge and experience? And also, how do you use that knowledge and experience? The story that you've told there is exactly right. You have something that's very aligned with probably some of the clients you're dealing with. So if you can articulate how you manage your way through that process, and often it's not, in knowledge and experience, it's not always about saying things go smoothly. Sometimes you need to say, there are pitfalls in this process here, there are pitfalls in this type of work that you want to do, but we have the knowledge and experience to handle that because we've done it before.
I guess to sort of differentiate those two things, part of the systems and processes that we have are related to the fact that we can really easily and quickly and efficiently respond to something we think is going to be over budget quite early on and give that feedback. And I'd say probably part of the knowledge and experience part of it is having done and paid for our own architecture before. So when we say to someone it's going to be between $3,000 and $3,500 for this type of project, we know that. And then throughout the process of doing the project with the client, that will then start to feed into okay, hang on a second, I think it's got a little bit too big, or perhaps this excavation is going to be a bit costly. And I think that is how those two things work together, those two pillars.
So I often hear this from architects and from architectural clients who say, the plans came back and we went out to tender, but the price came in a lot higher than we expected and way beyond our budget. How do you in your business use your systems and processes and the knowledge and experience that you've got to avoid that? It sounds as if you rarely get a situation where you present something and put it to tender and the tender price is far higher than the budget.
We try to use materials and construction systems that we know where we're going to land with those things. We also have found that clients sometimes don't want to hear the bad news, and I think even that is part of a system, and this is part of the system and process of actually onboarding clients, that if you think that you've got someone who isn't open to that discussion about what they can and can't afford, you're in a dangerous position. And so that is also part of it as well. And I think that having built our own work and having seen it go together and having paid those invoices from our own bank account,
Yes.
means that we do have a really good relationship from design through to the cost of that thing. I can tell you that recycled bricks are $1.10 a brick.
Okay, you used a word there which is really relevant to the fourth pillar, which is relationship. And I think the development of the personal relationship between architect and client is something that needs to be worked on, and you need to try and get, as an architect, better at that. One of my clients, he was one of 7 architects who tendered for a job. He said we were the second most expensive and we still won it. And when I asked him why do you think you got the job? And the response was, well, I got on really well with the client. The client, I think, really liked us. So how do you use and how do you build client relationships so that you have a better chance of winning work based on your personal relationships?
Having sort of one-on-one relationships with builders, with trades, in a lot of ways, a lot of our details that would be, I would say, quite intricately detailed or quite high end, that cost a lot more per square meter to produce. We've worked on those things with lots of trades, and we have we can do things with less drawings now. And that really helps. And we know sort of suppliers and all those kind of things in ways that can bring the cost down of something that might otherwise, if it had gone out to tender in that traditional way, would cost the client a lot more.
So you're including their personal relationship with suppliers and builders as well as clients. So it's even broader for you.
And in a lot of ways, that particular ethos is reading through in all of our articles. We're always talking about Whispering Smith as a team that goes far beyond the walls of our practice. And I think that in a lot of ways is bringing in the kind of clients that we resonate with.
Perfect. So those are the first four pillars, and the fifth pillar is the one that most architects know most about, which is the outcome of the project. So how do you demonstrate the outcome that you're going to provide? And how's that outcome going to be a better fit for the client than the other architects that the client may be speaking to? So this is about how you present material on the website. It's how you select pictures and examples to show your potential clients what they might get if they deal with you. And I think a criticism of some architects is they tend to present their work as if they're selling to other architects rather than to clients that might buy their work. So I'd be interested, Kate, to hear how you make sure that the way that you present the outcomes that you're offering actually fit the bill for the clients that you're dealing with or you want to deal with.
I think that's really important because very rarely do we get clients who come to us saying, we think you're a creative genius and we just can't wait for you to take the bull by the horns and do the whole thing without any interference from us. Like that, I mean, maybe there are practices who have that luxury. But in a lot of ways, our work is a lot richer because we have clients who come to us looking for a certain type of experience. And so in our articles, we're working on some client testimonials at the moment, some projects that are just starting to be finished. We're talking a lot about that relationship between the architect and the client. The people that come to us usually have read something about the relationships that we're having with other people. And I think that they know that architecture is a very personal and long-term thing. And that if for there to be that level of trust and respect in the relationship, that's really what we find that they're looking for. And so on our website, in our Instagram, we're always talking in a tone and in a way that reflects those relationships.
Do you ever get people coming with too much information for you? How do you, if people come along with lots of photographs and things, because that's a complaint I hear from many architects that how do you get around that? How do you use the 5 pillars to avoid that or to head off that difficult conversation?
That one's really interesting, actually. I think they can come in with as many ideas as they like at the end of the day, as long as there is that level of respect about when we take over and that they actually are interested in what we as practitioners bring to the table. And as long as we feel through that process that they're listening, which is a lot to do with sort of the skills and knowledge that we've been talking about. And also in the pillar number 1. Those things, when we start having those conversations, even though there might be a lot of stuff on the table that's come from the client brief, that you can tell when you start talking about your experience and your skills and your systems and processes, that they're listening to you. And
Perfect.
That's what you need.
Perfect. So you use the 5 pillars to get the client on your side and trusting you and believing in what you can do. Great place to leave it. I think BOSS sounds as if it's a great organization. The time cost calculator, I think it sounds like a really useful tool. And hopefully the 5 pillars of value will help people just put a different angle on how they describe what they do for clients so that you win more clients. Just finally, if we can speak about the DAPS course. This is a course we have developed to provide really it's the business education that architects don't get when they're at architectural college. We do have a course coming up that is specifically for ACA members. It's a discounted price. We've got a maximum of 10 people we can put on the course, and we're looking to fill that relatively quickly. We're almost there already.
Great.
You've done the course. What would be the top 2 or 3 things you would say are the takeaways that you got from the course and has delivered value to your practice?
I think anyone who's seeking business education in business knows what they don't know. We've all got to that point in practice where we're looking at trying to improve our marketing, we're looking at trying to improve our systems, we're looking at trying to improve our sales, and we're usually trying to improve our financial knowledge. For us in particular, I want to be able to give my grads a wage that's decent. I want to be able to give them a pay rise when they do really well. And I want to know that we're going to be able to survive through something like the coronavirus period. So doing a course like this helps you in a really methodical, professional, and repetitive, so week on week way, to start to build up your knowledge in a way that's easy to follow, and it's community based as well, which is what the BOSS is all about. It's about building a community of small practices learning together, and that is 100% the kind of experience that you get in the DAPS course. I've learned more from those sessions about business than I have in the last 10 years of my practice combined.
Fabulous. Great news. Well, continued success, Kate, and thanks for your support.
Thanks, Ray.
And good luck with the BOSS program.
Thanks, Ray.